Welcome, dreamer. As you settle into stillness, your thoughts softening like the surface of a quiet lake, prepare to follow a boy not so different from you on a journey far from the world you know. Tonight, you'll travel gently through time, not in a flash of lightning or a rattle of gears, but with the calm certainty of drifting off to sleep. The year is 2050. It isn't the future of wild chrome cities and teleportation beams. It's a quieter kind of tomorrow, full of soft machines, quiet tensions, invisible systems, and strange beauty. So, close your eyes, take a slow breath, and imagine this boy, small and curious, waking up in a world that feels both familiar and utterly changed. He opens his eyes slowly. The ceiling above him glows faintly, not with light bulbs, but with biofabric panels that pulse in a pale rhythm, imitating dawn. The boy lies on a sleeping mat, thinner than he's used to, but oddly warm, resting atop a flexible, modular surface that curves around his shape. The air is silent. Not silent like a quiet morning at home, but silent in a dense, deliberate way. There are no cars outside, no hum of distant traffic, just the faint hiss of oxygen being filtered. Somewhere, water trickles in the wall of vertical farm, irrigating itself. He rises slowly. The room is a pod. Round, smooth, undecorated, save for a few black shapes on the wall squares that bloom into light when he blinks at them. One square opens a window shutter. He squints. Outside, the city stretches in low, clean arcs. No towering skyscrapers, but dense clusters of bioglass structures sprouting greenery. Drones buzz like fat insects between buildings. A maglev tram hums past on silent tracks, moving no faster than a bicycle. He steps into the common corridor. People glide past him, some on foot, some on soft-wheeled platforms, others in small, autonomous pods that whisper as they slide by. Their clothes are draped and soft, made of thermoregulating fiber. Almost everyone wears some kind of smart lenses or neural band. Everyone seems calm, unhurried. He's guided gently by a wall light that adjusts its brightness as he walks into a public kitchen, automated, modular. A screen offers him options: oat crisps grown from mycelium, a smoothie made from recycled algae protein. He hesitates, but his stomach decides for him. Then it's time for school, but it doesn't look anything like he remembers. There are no classrooms, just learning hubs. He sits in a semicircle with other kids, each wearing a light headset. An adult watches, but mostly lets the AI facilitator guide them. They're learning about pre-automation societies, about the chaos of the early 21st century. The boy's name is logged, but not spoken aloud. Privacy is built into the culture now. In the afternoon, he joins a quiet communal task, maintaining the rooftop garden. The soil feels soft, synthetic, but the plants are real tomatoes, sage, vertical rice. He learns quickly. There's something soothing about the repetition. And as the sun sets, low and amber, through the atmosphere filtering shields, the lights inside his pod dim again. He rests, overwhelmed, but not afraid. The future is strange, but strangely gentle. The boy is walking through an open plaza beneath a wide dome of glass. It's raining, but no one is surprised. No one runs for cover. People move through the light drizzle calmly, coats adapting to the moisture, as the rain falls with precise rhythm. This rain, ... was scheduled. Later, the boy is told about the woman behind it, Dr. Noah Elson, a name spoken with reverence, even affection. She doesn't govern. She doesn't preach. She programs the sky. Years ago, in the late 2030s, the Earth crossed a quiet threshold. The old weather, wild, chaotic, once called natural, had become untenable. Droughts followed floods. Heat domes blistered cities. Crops died where they stood. That's when Noah, then a young climate systems engineer, unveiled Project Gaia-Sita, global mesh of orbital mirrors, oceanic vapor generators, and AI prediction engines capable of orchestrating local weather systems with astonishing precision. At first, the world hesitated. Wouldn't controlling the weather go too far? But in 2041, a cascading set of storms decimated 5 megacities in 2 weeks. After that, hesitation vanished. Noah didn't just simulate weather patterns. She treated the atmosphere like a canvas using data, ethics algorithms, and live human feedback to create not just safe, but humane climates. The boy listens to a gentle, recorded voice hertz. Not a broadcast, but a layered documentary, accessible through his neural link. The goal, she says, isn't perfection. It's kindness. The sky can be a friend, not a threat. In her youth, Noah had spent months walking coastal cities, gathering air quality samples herself with outdated tools. She once coded for 72 hours straight to correct a flaw that had caused an unexpected hail event in Myanmar. She cried when she fixed it. The boy follows her story, her collaboration with tribal elders to preserve ritual rain patterns in regions that still hold to old ways. Her quiet battle with corporate interests who wanted to monopolize climate control. Her final request that weather programming remain free, a planetary human right. She's not alive anymore. She died in 2048, 2 years before the boy arrived. But her code lives on. He visits a weather temple. It's not religious, exactly more of a quiet sanctuary. There are hanging gardens, pools of evaporating water, and displays of historic climate charts, and a sculpture of her, not bronze, but data. Her final climate simulation, rotating gently in air like a galaxy. The rain that fell this morning was just a light, cleansing rain. But tomorrow it will snow in the Arctic arc zones, and the next day a gentle wind will scatter pollen across rewilded plains. Because of Noah, the earth breathes evenly again, and the boy breathes too, slowly, calmly, watching a cloud drift precisely across the artificial horizon. Later that week, the boy boards a slow transit pod heading north. It hums beneath a canopy of trees that arch over the Traken old rail line, retrofitted for a silent, gliding transport. A whisper of electricity and magnetism carries him deeper into what used to be known as the Alps. He's told he's going to see something very old. The pod slows as they approach the Eidolon Volta, massive subterranean complex carved into the side of an ancient mountain. There are no guards, no gates, just a soft field of light that scans gently across his body as he steps forward. His guide, an archivist named Yari, meets him at the threshold. "You're going to hear them," she says quietly, "but don't speak back. They're not awake." The Eidolon Vault is home to sleeping minds. Decades ago, humanity began preserving not just data, but consciousness, patterns, mind architectures mapped from the last generation of organic sentience before the cognitive acceleration laws of 2045. These warranty-full people, not really, but deep shadows of thinkers, teachers, artists, scientists, thousands of them. They don't run anymore, not actively. Too much power, too much complexity. But they're stored perfectly in liquid-cooled quantum cores buried deep beneath the mountain's heart. The boy is let down. The air grows colder. The rock hums faintly. He enters a chamber bathed in blue. Walls pulse like slow heartbeats. Here, he hears faintly whispers, not voices, just traces, snippets of language, abstract thoughts, fractal poetry, all playing on ultra-low frequency audio, something humans can only feel, not quite hear. "This is where we keep the long memory," Yari says. "Not for control, just for balance. To remember what was once thought, once felt." Each server, called an Eidolon node, shaped uniquely. Some are like monoliths, others like trees of ice. Each holds the mental resonance of a great mind, carefully tagged and sealed. One node hums slightly differently. Yari tells the boy it's the imprint of a synthetic philosopher named Corin, who debated AI ethics with herself for 20 years before volunteering to become a post-organic construct. Another hum belongs to a 2032 poet who composed 700 sonnets about memory and salt. The boy sits beside one of the quieter nodes. He doesn't fully understand it, but he senses its weighted gravity of memory, so carefully held in silence. There is no danger here, only stillness. only the patient preservation of complexity, slumbering until the world has questions worth waking them for. As they leave, Yari hands him a small, smooth disc. "It holds a question," she says, "one that hasn't been asked yet. One day, maybe you'll bring it back here." The boy cradles it gently. He's quiet for a long time as the pod carries him back through the woods. Overhead, stars begin to appear, soft and pale. And beneath him, deep under the earth, the mines sleep on. By the end of his journey, the boy is lifted literally into the sky. An airship rises from a shimmering base atop a cliffside, shaped like a giant inverted sail. It carries him smoothly upward into the twilight, higher than birds, above the old clouds. He is on his way to visit one of the floating arcology's habitats suspended in the upper atmosphere, home to the so-called skyborn families. These people aren't royalty, exactly, but they belong to a different rhythm of life. They rarely touch the ground anymore. Their ancestors helped rebuild the world's climate and biosphere. And in exchange, or perhaps by habit, they stayed aloft. The boy steps into a skyplate, what seems like a city, softly suspended among pink-tinged clouds. The buildings are tall and slender, made of aerogel, light reactive surfaces that shimmer as the sun dips. Birds roost along the walkways. Gliders drift lazily between garden domes. He is welcomed not by officials, but by a child, his Adrian, who offers him a bowl of floating fruit. Gravity's just a suggestion up here, Iron jokes, pointing to the subtle lifts embedded in their sandals. The boy learns quickly that time is different in the sky. Each day begins with a synchronization ritual moment where every sky city across the globe aligns their internal clocks with the movement of the sun, not for utility, but for poetry. At sunrise, the entire skyplate turns slightly, casting mirrors outward so that ground dwellers far below catch the brief golden flash, a quiet gesture of beauty shared across layers of society. Life among the skyborn is slow, measured, less ruled by scarcity or fear. There are schools, yes, but many lessons are taught through atmospheric gardening, where children help sculpt wind currents and pollen streams for Earth's open-air biosphere below. Some teens train as light sailors, learning to navigate by radiation drifts between sky zones. Yet the boy senses something more beneath the softness, a quiet solitude. Most skyborn children have never walked in grass. Few have ever felt rain on their skin. They are gentle, learned, and graceful, but there is an ache behind their eyes when he speaks of dirt under fingernails or the sound of frogs at night. One elder, a great aunt of Iron's, tells the boy a saying: "We live above the clouds, because we once lived beneath the storm. They haven't forgotten hardship. That's why they live this way. Not out of superiority, but as keepers of stillness, anchors of calm. The boy spends his last night there, watching the stars through a transparency dome. Iron falls asleep beside him mid-sentence, talking about a dream of visiting the ocean. The sky hums. Somewhere below, thunder rolls, far off, programmed, controlled, understood. And above, a single artificial moon drifts slowly, casting gentle light on the sleeping city. The journey winds to a close. As the boy prepares to return, though, where or when he returns to is never quite certain. He sits quietly by a stream that runs through the edges of a deurbanized park, where old cities have given way to quiet green corridors. Insects buzz faintly. Somewhere in the trees, a drone disguised as a bird flutters past, monitoring pollen counts with little more noise than a leaf turning in the breeze. The boy thinks of the things he has seen, the quiet fatigue of the urban earthbound, scraping by in the repurposed shells of cities. The moment of fire and revelation in the sky, when a choice changed the world's path. The humming mines under the mountain, full of questions and songs never yet heard. And the floating families who drift gently above it all, keepers of calm in the sky's upper light. 2050 was not the future he imagined. It was not full of blinking lights or constant motion or perfection. There were no jetpacks, no silver suits, no cities of glass towers. But it was real. It was textured, flawed, intricate, and above all, quiet, not silent, but measured. Like a world that had learned to breathe again. As the boy closes his eyes one last time in this place, he wonders not with fear, but with a kind of wistful curiosity, where he will wake up next. Will it be further still? 2100, 2500, or somewhere in between? Will he walk on a ship among stars, or beneath an ocean, or through a temple made by machines, or perhaps he will return to the past, or even to now, to you. But for now, he sleeps, and so should you. Let your thoughts drift like skyships. Let your breath settle like pollen in the breeze. Let your dreams unfold like memory crystals stored deep in the earth. The year 2050 will be here when you return. Good night.